let's talk about the September 13th Nintendo Direct. A few days later. Mostly because I wanted to wait to get more information and read up on certain things and see if some trailers would get posted to their YouTube channel, so yeah. I wasn't being lazy, honest. First off, the pros. The first major pro, the surprisingly strong 3DS lineup. When the Switch first launched earlier this year, I and a lot of other people thought that the 3DS was on its way out. This year, in fact. Because the Switch kinda covers both Nintendo's home market and handheld market. And Nintendo did promise that they would continue to support the 3DS through 2018, but I just assumed that meant they would keep servers up and add some new things to the eShop and things like that. But no, they got some good stuff planned for the 3DS. And apparently Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon will not be the 3DS's swan song. I mean, just to name a few things, we have what could very well become the greatest Mario Party game of all time, Minecraft, which is out for literally everything now except for the TI-83 calculator, Make It Happen. What is essentially the complete edition of Yokai Watch 2, and maybe now I might actually go and get it. I heard great things about it. Plus, its Japanese sales numbers are kinda ridiculous. And we even have Atlas bringing out the big guns with Radiant Historia, and Shin Megami Tensei, or however you pronounce it. And a new Etrian Odyssey. And with some of these games launching in 2018, yeah, 3DS owners have some nice things to look forward to. And yeah, it might be easy to say like, well, Nintendo should focus on the Switch since that's kind of their bread and butter right now and it's breaking internal sales records and it's constantly selling out and it covers both of their console markets. And yeah, you do have a point. But I mean, if the 3DS is continuing to sell and games are continuing to sell for it, might as well ride that gravy train till it runs out, especially if it's not hurting Switch development. So yeah, Nintendo, you do you. The next big pro, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon themselves. Now the reason I highlight those specifically is because, well, I loved Pokemon Sun and Moon. I consider it to be up there as one of the best generations of Pokemon. The only problem is, that game was a rushed, semi-unfinished mess. I'm paraphrasing here, but there was an interview where they spoke with a developer who mentioned that they had to rush to meet some deadlines, and that's why there's some vacant lots in some areas, and why some of the island challenges seem pretty uninspired. I'm looking at you, Kahuna's name I can't remember because I hated your challenge, which was essentially spot the difference in this picture. That was so lame. But yeah, if that Pokemon game was the result of them sort of rushing and removing some things they had planned, well, I just can't wait to see what this game is going to be like, where they took their time and put back in some of the ideas they had. And what they showed off during the Direct does look pretty cool. Aside from those two new Ultra Beasts. Maybe they'll grow on me. Post-commentary. So, quick thing about the interview. I was going to have a link to it down below, or at least screenshots of it, because it was taken from a 12-page feature on Pokemon during the first week or two of August in Game Informer magazine. Yeah, my subscription lapsed and I don't really care enough to reactivate it just for that one interview. So as a compromise, I'll have links to other articles and the Cutting Room Floor wiki page for Pokemon Sun and Moon that show off a lot of things that were cut. And yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game was rushed, but they imply the game was rushed. And I mean, you can still just look at like some of the animations in the game and other things. But yeah, alright, end post commentary. So yeah, I can't wait to see this new story, see some of the new areas they add, and just have fun in the Alola region again. Really looking forward to it. And besides, the sort of second game of a Pokemon generation tends to be really good. Like Yellow and Crystal and Emerald and Platinum and Black and White too. Another major pro, Kirby Star Allies. I mean, that's a big thing for me because I loved Kirby 64. And I love being able to combine the copy abilities to make brand new copy abilities. And this game is bringing that back, and I'm excited for it. Plus, they're bringing back the little copy buddies. I missed them too. Not to mention, they're even bringing back some favorite abilities that have been missing for a minute. Like Yo-Yo Kirby. Obviously, is going to have co-op play. Hopefully online co-op play as well, hint hint. And if none of that has sold you on it, it also has Buff DDD. I repeat, Buff DDD. Your argument is invalid. Buff DDD. I rest my case. Another pro, Lyn is joining Fire Emblem Warriors. I don't really have much to say about this. I'm just happy they're adding Fire Emblem 7 characters because that's my favorite Fire Emblem. Though granted, it is another sword user. I'm just happy it's Lyn and FE7 is getting some kind of representation. Here's hoping they add some Axe users, some more Lance users, and some Magic users. Maybe I haven't been paying too much attention to the trailers, but I've yet to see any Magic users. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'll take that L, but yeah, I don't recall seeing any yet. Another pro, Xenoblade 2 is looking excellent. Like, it's only been 3 months since E3, and my god, what have they done to this game? Like, they are working really hard to make this good. And when people thought it was going to be delayed into 2018, because, come on now, it's a huge RPG like Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. But no, it's still on track to come out this year, December 1st, in fact. I'm going to have to make the tough decision between getting that or a birthday gift from my brother and sister. Who am I kidding? That's not a tough decision at all. I'm getting this game. But yeah, it looks really, really good, and I can't wait to play it. Did see some complaints about the HUD of the game, and yeah, while it does look a bit clunky, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, come on, there's worse HUDs than that out there. I'm just saying. And besides, Nintendo, they might not be ones for the most in-game customization and options and all that jazz, but they tend to give you options to disable parts of the HUD, if not all of it. I don't think you'd be able to hide all of it for this. It is an RPG after all. But I'm sure you'll be able to hide portions of it that you might not need, or maybe change around how some things look. I mean, for God's sake, they did this for Skyward Sword on the Wii. I would at least hope they would repeat it for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But yeah, just chill on the HUD. It's not that bad. Another pro, Super Mario Odyssey. This one is obvious. I mean, I'm hype for this game. I'm actually hype for a 3D Mario. I have not been hype for a 3D Mario since Super Mario Sunshine. Controversial opinion. I actually like Super Mario Sunshine and think it's the best 3D Mario to date. In controversial opinion. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy playing the Galaxy games and Mario 3D World and 3D Land for the 3DS, but those weren't games that I eagerly anticipated. Those were just games I took for granted. Like, yeah, of course this Nintendo console is going to have a 3D Mario. I'll just get it whenever I need a game to play, and I'm sure it'll be a good experience. But with this one, I'm hyped for it. I pre-ordered it. I rarely pre-order a Mario game. Well, aside from the Paper Marios and the Mario and Luigi games, because those are excellent. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then the final pro, and probably the biggest pro of them all, the third-party lineup for the Switch. Holy crap. This makes the Wii U third-party lineup look like utter trash. And yeah, sure, the Wii U had some heavy hitters like Batman Arkham City, and Mass Effect 3, and Assassin's Creed, and Call of Duty, and Deus Ex. But when you really go back and look at some of those games, they were kind of hosed when it came to the Wii U. Like Deus Ex Definitive Edition launched on the Wii U alongside the other consoles, but it was more expensive on the Wii U because they cited, oh, we're adding special features to it, some of which take advantage of the gamepad, so it needs to cost more. Okay, well, yeah, that would be a good point, but you offered similar second screen experiences for owners of the game on the other consoles. Like, yes, even the PlayStation version, you could use your Vita as the second screen, similar to how you use the gamepad as the second screen for the Wii U, so yeah. And then even Mass Effect 3, they flat out said they weren't going to make the DLC available for that game to purchase on Wii U. That's kind of messed up. But yeah, looking at some of the third-party games coming to the Switch, it's night and day. LA Noire and Rockstar already confirmed that it's going to have all the DLC available for purchase. Dragon Quest Builders, though, that one might have been a given, considering Dragon Quest does well for itself on Nintendo consoles. NBA 2K18 and WWE 2K18 and FIFA 18. Granted, those three were probably gimmies as they also dabbled with the Wii U, but looking at the effort that Take-Two put into NBA 2K18, these might be really worthwhile. And of course, the three heavy hitters in Doom, Wolfenstein 2, and Skyrim. I had to include Skyrim in the list of heavy hitters. I was contractually obligated to do that. No, Todd Howard is not pointing a gun at me right now as I speak. What are you even talking about? But yeah, I consider these three heavy hitters because when was the last time Bethesda put anything on a Nintendo console? Like, I even checked Wikipedia and it was like some random was it Star Wars or Star Trek? Well, either way, whatever Star games they weren't relevant enough for me to remember. And those were for early Nintendo consoles. So the fact that they're bringing these three big games to the Switch, it's amazing. And it shows that they actually have some semblance of confidence in the system. And hopefully this will bring in more third-party developers. And if these games do well, then they'll just keep bringing on more third-party games and even start making original games for the Switch. And yeah, I know the common argument, oh, these are ports. What if you already have them on another system? Doom is already a year old. Who's gonna buy it for the Switch? You'd be surprised. Like, if you were making this argument on the Wii U, I would say you have a point. But the Switch is in a different scenario from the Wii U in that you can also take these games on the go with you. And it's a seamless transition from console mode to handheld mode. And to some people, the slight graphical downgrade that you would have from playing these games on the Switch would be worth the portability. Hell, I'm contemplating buying Doom again just to be able to play it on the go. Oh, and emphasis on slight graphical downgrade. Like, if you look at the side-by-side comparisons of Doom, yeah, you can tell there is a difference, but it's not as bad. Like, nowhere near as bad as, say, Wii and PS3 comparisons. Oh dear God, it was noticeable on that generation. But yeah, the difference between, say, these PS4 ports and the Switch ports, it's honestly negligible, to me at least. And hey, as long as these games continue to run fine, I'll be happy. I mean, NBA 2K18 runs really well when it's in docked mode. So yeah, as long as the performance is there, I don't mind if they knock down the resolution a bit. Oh, and then of course we have Project Octopath. That name is so garbage. Thank God it's a working title. But yeah, it's an RPG by Silicon Knights, who did Bravely Default. I know it's going to be good. Not to mention it's somewhat similar to Live Alive or Live Alive or Live Alive or however you pronounce that Super Nintendo RPG that never came to the States, but a lot of people swear by because it's actually really good. But yeah, it plays like that where you have all these different characters with their own paths that intersect and intertwine, and then yeah, like it's cool. And yeah, there was also some other things in there that could be pros, like a new Snipper Clips. I heard good things about Snipper Clips. And Hamster working on the Nintendo Arcade Classics. I mean, Hamster did great jobs on the Neo Geo game, so I'm sure these Nintendo Arcade Classics will be good too. But I just wanted to focus on the big things. Now, on to the cons. First major con, Mario Party the Top 100. Now, I know earlier I did say it has the potential to be the best Mario Party of all time, but emphasis on potential. Because yes, while they are taking the best 100 games across all the Mario Parties, and board gameplay has been confirmed, as of right now, there's no online aspect of it. Just local co-op and download play. And download play is cool. You know, you only need one cart to play with multiple friends. But it's 2017. And it's Mario Party. It's a multiplayer party game. You could have tried to at least do something with online for it. And that's definitely going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. It kind of is for me, because yeah, while it would be cool to play all these mini games again, it's not like I can readily round up 3 other people and gather them into the same room and play the game with them. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with local multiplayer, but there should also be the option for online play, especially where the game kind of calls for it. So here's hoping that's just a fact they haven't mentioned yet, but the site for the game kind of makes it clear that it's not in the cards. So yeah. Another con, Morphy's Law. I mean, the game looks fine. I don't have a problem with the game. It looks like it could be fun. I'm just mad at that name. Come on, man. Morphy's Law. Really? 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 Next con, League of Legends coming to this. Wait, that's not League of Legends? Arena of Valor? Oh. Either way, it's a MOBA, and MOBAs are not my thing. So that's a con for me. Might not be for you. So hey, if you're a fan of MOBAs, there you go. A MOBA on the Switch. Woo! Yay! But on a more serious note, and this was a pretty huge con, it doesn't deal with the games themselves, it deals with the structure of the Direct. The segments for Project Octopath and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 dragged. I mean, I understand you want to give people information about the games, but going over every single nuance of Xenoblade's battle system, probably not the time and place for that. I mean, yeah, you can go over it at a base level, but just going over everything was kind of ugh. And they even got the worst narrator ever. He sounded like a college professor. He was just so soft-spoken. I mean, my God, where did you find this dragon? Like, dragons are normally kick-ass and cool and fun to be around, and in some cases, waifus. But then you got this dude who was like just... I mean, he was 2 steps above Ben Stein, but that's not saying much. And while the Project Octopath segment wasn't as bad as the Xenoblade Chronicles segment, it still dragged a bit. So they kind of need to work on how they're going to showcase RPGs when it comes to a Nintendo Direct. Because honestly, if you show off a game in a poor light, even if it's a good game, you could deter people from buying it. And the worst thing you can do is make an RPG look boring. So here's hoping we get, like, say, a Xenoblade Direct or a Project Octopath Direct sometime down the road. You know, just a little 5 or 10 minute direct just for those games. Sort of like what they do with Pokemon or ARMS. Because those games deserve to be shown off in a better light. And the final con, and probably the most egregious of them all, Mario's nipples. Who the hell signed off on that? Seriously, for exposing the world to this horror, I hope whoever is responsible for this steps on a Lego while barefoot. Yes, I went there, because this is some eldritch horror crap right here. Oh my god. Ugh. So yeah, all in all, this was a pretty solid Nintendo Direct. They achieved what they set out to do in showing the world that they actually have some pretty decent third-party support for this system, which is something the Wii U desperately needed. And granted, the Wii U started off with arguably pretty strong third-party support, but it did peter out due to the lack of power that the system had, the lack of marketing that Nintendo put out, and the lack of momentum that the system had, some of which was caused by Nintendo. There were large droughts where no first-party games were coming out. And that's all changing for the Switch, which is a big positive. The system, while it's not the most powerful thing in the world, it does its job well enough to be not too far behind the PS4 and the Xbox One. It is behind, but not by too much, for the most part. They're marketing the system and their games for the system a lot better. They're even marketing these third-party games, which is something that third parties were complaining about back then. Because yeah, while it does fall on the third parties to promote their own games, the console makers themselves also have to put forth an effort to show that they want this third-party support and they're eager and happy to have it. Like, I've been seeing multiple tweets from Nintendo about NBA 2K18, and they're hyping up Doom and Wolfenstein coming to the console. That's good. And the fact that they gave a large portion of the Direct to Project Octopath should go to show you that they actually care about third parties this generation. So yeah, Nintendo accomplished the task of showing that they have third-party support and they're eager to work with third parties to ensure that more of these games come to the console. And they also accomplished the task of showing that the 3DS is still alive and well and will continue to be that way for the foreseeable future. And that's cool, especially for the people that might not have the funds to upgrade to the Switch just yet. Got some good 3DS games to hold you over until you're ready to make that jump. Not to mention the stuff that already came out this year. I mean, I heard surprisingly great things about Miitopia. People were not expecting that to be as good as it was. And Arzest somehow learned how to make games after the debacle that was Yoshi's New Island. Yeah, Hey Pikmin is apparently good. I know, I'm shocked too. So all in all, it was a solid Nintendo Direct. And come on now, if you were expecting Smash or Bayonetta or Beautiful Joe or Wonderful 101, come on. I mean, yeah, something that big could be announced in a Nintendo Direct, but they usually save the huge announcements for the first Direct of the year, or E3. These other Directs in between are just there to give you supplemental information about the games they already have, with maybe some small surprises here and there. And besides, the Switch is not even a year old yet. Just be patient, we're gonna get Smash. And as for Kamiya teasing Bayonetta 3 and the Wonderful 101 and Beautiful Joe, come on, it's Kamiya. He always teases those games. Always. You should be used to it by now. Don't tell him I said that though, I don't want him to block me. I'm kind of happy being one of 6 people that he hasn't blocked yet. The Switch is still young. We have time for all of these other games. Just wait. So yeah, let me know what you think about the Direct down below in the comments. What games coming out are you looking forward to? What do you think was missing from the Direct? What could have been improved about it? How do you feel about Mario's nipples? Leave your thoughts down below and I will see you next time. Goodbye. On one other con I had with this presentation, the lack of any information on the virtual console or the online system that is going to be in place for the Switch. And all we have is just pure speculation to go on right now. I mean, it's not too far off from when we're going to have to start paying $20 a year to use Nintendo's online system. It would be nice to know every aspect of it and, you know, just have information about it. Something. Anything. And as far as the virtual console goes, they could have just mentioned that in passing, just by saying, oh, don't worry, it's coming soon. We'll have more information about that later on. Like, we don't know anything about what they're doing regarding those two, essentially. Personally, I would love if they adopt a PlayStation Now type of thing where included in our $20, we get access to this online database of all their original games from the Nintendo all the way up to the GameCube, as long as you maintain an active subscription. But that's just a wish for me, essentially, because they haven't told us anything about the virtual console. And yeah, these Neo Geo games and the Nintendo arcade games are good and all because Hamster does good work, but that's not enough. So Nintendo still needs to work on communication. And yeah, those omissions weren't enough to really sour the Direct for me, but it would have been nice to get some information about those, especially since the virtual console was such a huge deal for the Wii and Wii U. And this online subscription service is like something that's really important for the system. You would think we would have more information about these closer to the dawn of the new console. Like more so than some games that we know are going to be on the system in the future that weren't shown off in this Direct. Like Smash and No More Heroes and stuff. Like, we know those are coming sometime down the road. So being angry about those not being shown in this one Direct in the middle of September that was announced 3 days before it happened, come on now. No need to be disappointed about that. But it is alright to be disappointed that we still have no information about the online and the virtual console, and it's kind of annoying, but alright, for reals this time. Goodbye.